So starting with the second chapter, that is a fitting. In last chapter we have seen carpentry. Yeah, we have seen carpentry and why carpentry is required in electrical installations, which tools are required, and also we saw the function of each tool, how to use the tool and what care we have to take while it is operating, or we must know how it is operated and what care should be taken. And also when the tool is not in use, we have to know what care must be taken. So this all we have learned in carpentry chapter, that is first chapter. So in this chapter, chapter second, we will be learning about fitting. So in carpentry, all the process is done on wood. That is, whatever our workpiece was, that was all about wood. Carpentry is meant for the wooden works. So in this chapter, fitting shop process is done on metallic parts. Carpentry process is done on wooden parts and fitting shop is done on metallic part. So starting with the chapter. So this was all introduction. So starting with the chapter, fitting tools are classified as first one, supporting and holding tools. As we have seen in the last chapter what were the supporting tools and for what purpose they were used. Similarly in this chapter we are going to learn supporting and holding tools. So what are the supporting and holding tools? Surface plate, V-block, hand vise, bench vise and pipe vise. So we are going to see it all one by one. So I'll just first introduce you to the tools which are classified. So second one is measuring tools. So you know all what is the purpose of measuring tools, supporting tools, we have seen in last chapter. So here measuring tools are a steel rule, vernier caliper, micrometers, inside and outside caliper, thickness gauge. So these all come under the measuring tools. And for marking angles, we use angle protector, tri-square. So we know tri-square are used for marking 90-degree angles. So third one is marking tools. So these are measuring tools and these are marking tools. So in marking tools, scriber, center punch, divider, universal marking block, this all comes under marking tool. Fourth one is cutting tool. So cutting tools are basically used for cutting. Hand hacksaw, which is fixed frame, adjustable frame hacksaw, different types of chisels, files. Okay, so these all come under cutting tools. So now fifth one. So fifth one is drilling. And threading tool. So these are used to drill the to drill the work. So in this, drill bits of different sizes which are made up of high speed steel, tap sets, these are all come under drilling and threading tools. And the last one is other miscellaneous tools, that are hammer, screwdriver. So these all come under the other miscellaneous tools. So we will see one by one supporting tool, measuring tools, or whatever comes under supporting tool that I said. Surface plate. So what is the diagram of surface plate, where we use it? So we'll see it one by one. So first we'll see the surface plate. I will insert the image so you will be able to understand. So surface plate, starting with the supporting and holding tools, surface plate. So surface plate, where it is used or why it is used, it is a heavy rectangular plate made up of grey cast iron. So this surface plate is made up of grey cast iron. Its upper surface is perfectly flat, so there are no ups and downs. It is perfectly flat surface, so we can keep our job. And true, which is made by grinding. It is used for supporting the job for measuring and marking purpose. So in last chapter we have seen why we use supporting and holding tools. So this surface plate is used to place our job for measuring and marking purpose. So what is the care and precaution that we have to take? The surface plate should be used only for the operations requiring high accuracy. So where we need high accuracy, we have to use this surface plate. Avoid this plate from work involving hammering. So we should not hammer it so that our surface will become will not be smooth anymore. So we need a smooth plain surface. So we should not hammer it. Never put working tools upon it. So whatever may the working tools, so we have seen here measuring, marking. So we should not put on this plate. So this surface should be avoided from scratching. When not in use, so when we are not using this surface plate, we should oil and cover the surface plate to protect it from the dust. Moving forward to the V block. So as the name suggests, it's called V block. So it is nothing but the V-shaped block which is made up of chromium steels or grey cast iron, and it is hardened. So these blocks are used for supporting and marking the wooden work. So you can see the side image. So we have placed our round work on this V block. You can see, so this is used for our round work, whatever we have to do round work. So this is used for our supporting the round work. Hold the job firmly. What we can do, we can make the electromagnets, or we can make the magnet and hold our job very firmly. So third one is hand vise. So you know hand vise. So you can see in the images, it has two jaws. These are two legs, and it has spring and nut. So this is used for holding and supporting the small objects like screws. Okay, the two legs are made up of mild steel. These two legs are made up of mild steel. So these two legs are hinged at the bottom. What does it mean by hinged? So they are connected at bottom. They both are connected. They can open and close according to our job requirement. So it has a spring which is made up of carbon steel, pushes the two jobs out, or it can hold the job. Okay, so this is the hand vise which is used to hold our job. Moving forward to the bench vise. This device is commonly used for holding the work for fitting. You can see in the diagram, it has one movable jaw and one is fixed jaw. So in this portion between these two jaws, what we do, we place our job, whatever it may be. So it holds our job, so we can do our work. So it has fixed and moving jaws which are made up of casting. A screw is provided. So you can see in the diagram, there is a screw provided in the collar of the movable jaw, and nut is located in the fixed jaw. So you can see in the diagram and understand where the screw and nut is located. Okay, so handle is there which we can rotate it, and our movable jaw will move forward and back according to our requirement. We can place here the jaw. Okay. So what are the precautions and care that we have to take? So care, what we have to take, we should not tight this handle. So we should not tight it very so that our body or our tool may get damaged, or it may be get cracked. Third one is pipe vise. So you can see through the picture. you can understand seeing through the picture where it is used and why it is used. So this is used for gripping the pipes and round bars for cutting it. So what we do here, you are seeing the pipe which is placed in this tool. So this tool is basically used for the pipes to cut or whatever the work we have to do. So you can understand it through the pipe, or the name itself suggests that pipe wise it is meant to hold or gripping the pipes. So our supporting and holding tools are done. So what we saw in supporting and holding tools: surface plate where it is used, V block. So surface plate is basically used to hold not to what I can say support, or where we can place our job and work on it. So this is used for surface plate. V block, you can understand by itself, it is name from its name. V block, it is used for holding the round work. Whatever our round work is there, we can hold in the V block. Handwise, so we saw handwise, bench wise and pipe wise. So now moving to the measuring tools. So we know the basic measuring tool, that is our scale, that is steel rule. This is made up of stainless steel. It is used for marking in centimeters as well as marking in inches. It is available in size 10 centimeter to 100 centimeter. So what is a least count and how we measure it? So least count, So what is the least count? Least count means the smallest measurement or count that our instrument makes. So this is the smallest measurement that our instrument makes. So consider this scale. So it has a 16 centimeter scale. So in 1 centimeter there are how many divisions? In 1 centimeter you can take our regular scale. So in our regular scale, what it has 10 divisions in 1 centimeter. So how to measure the least count? So in 1 centimeter there are 10 divisions. So this is our least count. What will be the answer? 0.1. So we can mark up to 0.1, which is the smallest count on our regular scale. So this is the least count of our scale, 0.1. So now similarly, how we can count or find out the least count of vernier caliper? So there are two scales, main scale and vernier scale. So there are 49 divisions on the main scale. There are 49 divisions on main scale. So we'll write here 49, and these 49 divisions on the main scale are divided in 50 equal parts on vernier. So 50 equal parts on vernier. So divide by 50. So our answer is 0.98. And difference between the main scale and vernier scale division will be equal to 1 mm minus 0.98, which we have measured from here. So our answer will be 0.02 mm. So this is the least count of our vernier caliper. So this is the vernier caliper diagram, or I will insert the diagram which your book consists. So vernier caliper is based on the difference between the two scales. What are the two scales? This is the main scale, this is the main scale, and this what you see here is the vernier scale. So this is the main scale and these two are the vernier scales, this one and this one. So it can measure up to 0.02 mm, up to 0.02 mm. That means this is the least count of the vernier caliper. So what is the least count? That is smallest reading which instrument can take. 0.02 is the least count. What are the main components? Main scale, this is the main scale, vernier scale, measuring jaws, these are the measuring jaws, this one and this one. Depth measuring bar, this is the depth measuring bar. So these two jaws are used for the outer measurement. What do we mean by outer measurement? So this is our job which has to be measured. So these two jaws will fit here. Okay, and this is the scale. So this is the outer measurement. And this is used for the inner measurement. What does it mean by inner measurement? This is our hollow job. Okay, so this here our scale will be fitted, this scale in the inner side. So this is the internal measurement. This is the outer and this is the outer and this is the internal, as you can see here. And depth measurement, so we use it for measuring the depth. So it has a locking screw. So whenever our job is fixed here, then we have to lock this so that our scale will not move anywhere. It will be at the stable position. And this is fine adjustment screw. So we will see the working. So it has two scales, as I said, main scale and vernier scale. Vernier scale, 50 readings are equal to the main 49 readings. Vernier scale has up to 50 mm readings, but they are equal to 49 mm main scale. You have to remember this. Vernier scale has up to 50 mm readings, but they are equal to 49 mm main scale. Okay, so as I said, it has a locking screw here which locks so scale will not move. It has depth measurement to measure the depth. So this is the sliding one. Whenever we measure this vernier scales slides. So this is not fixed one. This is this vernier scale our slides. We'll see how it works. And it has one formula that we have to remember. The dimensions to be measured is equal to main scale reading plus vernier scale reading multiplied by least count. So we know the least count, that is 0.02. So here now consider one example. Whatever we keep our job to measure, then the vernier scale we have to keep here. Our job we have to keep here. Then vernier scale will slide this-wards. So this will expand. Our job will be placed between these two jaws. So the vernier scale will slide this side. So first what we have to do, this scale is up to, this scale is here up to 0. Whenever we expand it, this will slide here. So take this example. This is our vernier scale. So you are saying here this is vernier scale and this is the main scale. So I have placed one job here. So this our vernier scale is moved to this side, or it is a slide towards this. So first what we have to do, so first we have to see where the 0 of the vernier scale, so this is the 0 point, now we have slided it, so this 0 will match on the main scale. So here this is 10, this is 11, 12, 13, it's between 13 and 14. So we have to mark here So this is our main scale reading. So where the 0 matches on the main scale, so where the 0 matches from the vernier scale to the main scale. So it is the our main scale reading. So our main scale. Now what we have to see the vernier scale reading. So how we'll see the vernier scale reading? So whenever the line on vernier scale will match exactly to the main scale. So these lines, there will be one single line which will match exactly to the main scale. So in our case, this 40 line, consider, this is an example, so consider our 40 line will match to it exactly. So our vernier scale reading will be 40. And what is our least count? We have to multiply by it 0.02. So this is our least count. And by calculating this, the answer, we will get our answer. So this answer is, so this will be 13 plus 0.80, that is 13.80 mm. So our answer is 13.80 mm. This is how the working of vernier caliper. So what we have to do, if we have to measure the outer measurement, then we have to place our job here. So this vernier caliper vernier scale will slide towards this. So first what we have to do, we have to see this 0 of vernier caliper where it is. So this is here between 13 and 14. So we have to mark the main scale reading. We have to write it, and then whatever line on the vernier caliper, whichever, there will be one single line which will match perfectly to the main scale. So in our case it is 40. So I have written here 40, and this is our least count, and this is the formula that you have to remember. This is how the working is. Now moving to the micrometer. So I will show the diagram. I will insert the diagram. So it is used for measuring the length, diameter and thickness. It can measure up to 0.01 mm. So what we are seeing, micrometer. So micrometer least count is 0.01 mm. So it can measure up to 0.01 mm. Main scale reading, it has two readings. It has a main scale reading and thimble scale. So this is the main scale here. This is the main scale, and this is the thimble scale. I will insert the image. You just see. So the first one here is frame. Second one is anvil. So you will understand it by this diagram. So it has two scales, main scale and thumbnail. So here how we measure, or how we measure the length, or whatever it may be, diameter. So we place our job here, you can see in the diagram. And now what we have to do, this is our main scale. So it has two markings here, this upper line and bottom line. So difference between this is 0.5. Difference is 0.5. The main scale, this is the main scale, and this is the down scale which has a marking 0.5. So now we have to read this main scale. So our main scale is, this is 5. So this will be 6. So our main scale reading is 6. But you can see here line. Yes. So this is the line, and we know this line counts 0.5. So we have to write here plus 0.5. This will be our main scale reading. So 6.5. This is our main scale. And the formula is same for this. This is main scale. Main scale reading plus thimble scale reading into least count. So now this is, sorry, I have not written here, so here is 30. Okay, so this is 30 and we have to see here which line coincides this line. So it is 30. So our thimble scale reading is 30 and main scale is 3.5. And what is the least count? I told you 0.01. So what will be the answer? 6.5 plus 0.3. Am I right? 0.3. That is equal to 6.8 mm. So this is how micrometer works. So now what are the care and precautions or maintenance that we have to do for micrometer? So this instrument is used very carefully and we should keep clean, away from dust, moisture and oil. Do not over tight the locking screw. We should not over tight the locking screw. We have to keep away from heat. Keep it in box after use. Now see, moving forward, inside and outside calipers. So these are basically used to measure the inside and outside diameter. So you can see the diagrams I will insert. So the clip spring provided at the top case, the legs are separated. Because of the clip spring provided at the top, there are two legs you can see in the diagram that are separated due to the compressive force. And these legs are kept in position by the nut and screws. So if we insert or whatever, we have to measure the diameter or whatever. So we have to insert this, and because of this nut and screw, they will be in the position that we need to keep. So these are the diagrams. So basically these are used to measure inside and outside diameters. Tri-square we have learnt earlier also why we use tri-square. So it is used for checking or making the right angle and for the marking purposes. The bevel gauge, so it is used for comparing the two angles. Okay, so just remember bevel gauge, it is used for measuring the two angles. So we'll see the further in further lecture. What is remaining now? So we have covered measuring tools. So we'll see this in next lecture.